Hey friends, today we're talking about Limoges porcelain. What is Limoges? It is actually not a brand. It's a location in central France that is known for its high quality, hard paste porcelain making. I thought the next question we could tackle is what is porcelain? Because I think that's important to understand. You often hear the term ceramic used a lot. Ceramic is a really broad term, and there's a lot of different things that fall under that, porcelain being one of them. Stoneware, earthenware, bone china, which is actually a little different than porcelain. It contains bone ash. But what is porcelain? Porcelain is, it depends on the maker, exactly what the recipe is, but there are several components that most all porcelain contains. Kaolin is the big thing, and that's really why Limoges became such a center for fine porcelain making, because that area contains a lot of kaolin. Feldspar and quartz are really the big ingredients that all porcelain contains. Another general porcelain question I think that we need to tackle is why is it so expensive? Which leads me to how it's made, because it does, number one, require very skilled labor. If you talk to any person who is worked in pottery, they've worked with porcelain clay versus stoneware clay, for example, it is much more difficult and it takes a lot more knowledge and a lot more skill to work with it. Also, it's only produced in certain regions around the world. Wherever there's kaolin, which it's not located everywhere, are the only places that can produce porcelain. And finally, it's also a very lengthy process. So these, not only does it require a lot of skilled labor, but it requires that skilled labor a lot of time to take a piece of clay to the platter that you may hold in your hands today. It is fired multiple times at extremely high temperatures, which gives it that very luminous finish that is perfect for being painted on. And many of the pieces of Limoges that we're going to talk about are hand painted, which again comes back to skilled labor, all of them being one-of-a-kind pieces, and anything that's one of a kind, it's going to be more expensive. Now let's talk specifically about the Limoges region and how it got its start. It was with the discovery of kaolin in the late 1700s. But really what catapulted the whole region and the name was King Louis XIV. Actually purchased one of the factories with the purpose of creating Limoges porcelain for all of his dinnerware and pieces in his palace. But after the French Revolution in 1789, private factories also started springing up, and names like Haviland and Royal Limoges, which we're familiar with today, started making porcelain as well. Now let's talk about value. Really, any porcelain that is made in Limoges is considered to be extremely high quality and has value. However, just like anything else, I always suggest going to eBay or WorthPoint to see what the particular item is selling for, because there are a lot of factors that play into that, right? Some pieces are more sought after than others, pictures, for example. It depends on the age. It depends on the condition. It depends on the pattern. Some patterns are more popular than others. So there's a lot of factors that play into that. And I recommend just doing your research, and that will go a long way. Why is Limoges so popular? Well, I think that the who's who of the world over the last several hundred years have definitely helped put Limoges on the map. Again, starting with Louis XIV. Queen Victoria of England also was said to have loved the Limoges trinket boxes, which are super awesome, and still very, very popular today, where she kept her children's baby teeth and locks of hair. Limoges porcelain has also been very popular with U.S. presidents as well, as early as James Madison. Limoges porcelain has really been the go-to for U.S. presidents and first ladies in selecting the White House china for the state dinners, with Haviland really being the most popular of all of the companies in their selection process, even as recent as George W. Bush and Barack Obama choosing beautiful patterns from the Limoges region. So let's talk about the identification process. It's pretty easy. There is a back stamp on all the pieces that will have the maker, which we're going to use the example of Haviland because that's what I happen to have, and that back stamp will be under the glaze. Now, some pieces are actually painted in France by the company. Others are sent out as blanks to studios all around the world, and in which case it will contain another back stamp from the studio where the piece was actually hand painted, and that back stamp will be on top of the glaze. Finally, let's talk about Limoges present day. It actually has remained the dominant region within France for porcelain making, and worldwide for that matter. However, it's not the only fine, high quality porcelain maker in the world. There are other very popular brands that are also well known and very valuable as well. For example, Meissen in Germany, Hurand in Hungary, Lenox here in the US, Wedgwood in England, Noritake in Japan, and Royal Copenhagen in Denmark.